Hello, Wolfpack. We're back here on Bitcoin, and we're going to be looking at what's going on in regards to this descending wedge once again, because we have had like 3 or 4 consecutive days here, or 5 actually consecutive days, in which we're testing the top of this descending wedge in a similar fashion to what we did, quite literally what we did here in late December, from December 23rd all the way to December 28th. We tested it multiple times. We ultimately made very little progress in terms of breaking out, and we just rejected downwards and had a bit of a crash, right down from 50k to 47k, and continued downwards all the way down to the 40k region within about a week or so. And so we could very well be on the verge of doing something like that once again, and the reason being is because, well, you know, we've had this small upwards trend here on Bitcoin. If we bring up the volume is abysmal, right? We've had this small upwards trend here on Bitcoin. The volume has been decreasing the entire time with each consecutive daily candle, except for the last one, which is about the same volume as the day before, but the candle was barely green. So it just shows a real lack of buying pressure and a real lack of selling pressure as well in this region. Basically, not much is going on. People are just kind of sitting on the sidelines and waiting. And that would be due to the fact that we do have this descending wedge, right? They're waiting for a breakout. If we did see a breakout, that would bring the volume in, at least for a few days, and whether it's sustained or not is a different question. But if we see a rejection, for example, that would actually cause increased volume, but red volume to the downside. And so, look, what we're seeing now is this upwards trend, and what we've seen so far is 2 doji candles in a row. A doji candle is a candle in which there's a very small body to the candle, there's large wicks to the upside and downside, and we closed basically where we started. And so basically what this means is that no progress has been made for 2 full days, 48 hours. And when you see an upwards trend, right, or a small upwards trend like we saw just then, and then doji candles, it basically means that the trend is going to be reversing. That's a sign of trend reversal, and so that would suggest that we're going to be heading downwards. The descending volume would suggest we're going to be heading downwards, and the fact that we haven't closed over the 9 EMA, which is clearly rejecting us 3 consecutive days in a row, suggests we'll be going downwards as well. Now, the one piece of redeeming evidence, so there is a few pieces actually, I'll say there is a few pieces, but the one main piece of redeeming evidence for Bitcoin is that although we closed within the wedge, we actually opened the next candle outside of the wedge. I wouldn't consider this a breakout at all. I don't think this is convincing. I think this is just basically a coincidence. It happens sometimes where you close within the wedge, but since the next candle has to move over, right, a square on the chart or a couple pixels, whatever it is, you end up closing outside the wedge. I don't consider this a breakout at all, especially if we close within the wedge tomorrow. Now, here's the thing. This is why I've told you day in, day out for the last week, wait for daily closes, okay? Because these 4-hour charts, these 1-hour charts, they're constantly breaking in and out of this wedge, but you'll see they're just wicks here on a larger term scale. They're just wicks, and they're massive fake outs, right? So this is very much a daily candle kind of thing we need to be trading with, because this wedge has been going on since mid-October, okay? And when something's been going on for 3 months, you know, on a daily chart, so 90 days, you want to be waiting for at least 1 daily candle, because for the period of time has been 90 candles, and so waiting for 1 candle seems logical, right? It's a longer term pattern, and so it's going to take a longer time to break out than just a couple hourly candles of confirmation, right? Some would even say wait for 2 daily candles, but it depends how technical you want to get. I would even say, you know, that regardless of what happens, a breakout here is quite risky because of all the resistance we've got above, right? We've got this red line, uptrending red line. We've got 45.5k, we've got 48k, and we've got 53k, which is our last zone. We need to break 53k to be bullish in the market again. We've got Ichimoku Cloud, bull market support band, Gaussian channel, all acting as resistance below 53k. And so the chances of a break above 53k are very small. They're there, you know, it's possible, but it's very unlikely at this point. And so that's why in this market here, we need to be being cautious. And if you are going to trade this breakout, you know, wait for it to actually break out. Don't wait for a coincidental close above it, just because, you know, it's pretty clear we haven't had the buying pressure we need to see an actual sustained breakout yet. Wait for that to happen. Wait for a daily candle close. You know, and that's basically what I got to say there. Don't jump into the market too quickly, because we are very much in a downwards trend. We've been downtrending since early November. I say this over again in my videos over and over again. But I feel like people don't really get the message. Just because we have a descending wedge formation, it doesn't mean we need to just break upwards and go to new all-time highs. It doesn't even mean we need to go to 53k. It could mean we get rejected at 45.5k. It could mean rejected at 48k. If the buying pressure isn't there, the buying pressure isn't there. It doesn't matter what pattern you're forming. Yes, descending wedges are more likely to break out to the upside, but that doesn't mean they have to, right? There is still a considerable chance they can break to the downside. And so we have to really keep that into account here, guys. I'm saying that, I'm not saying whether it's going to break to the upside or downside, but what I will say is that these recent rejections here have been bearish, right? It's definitely increased the likelihood of another test of a downside. I'd say I said yesterday we've got about a 40% chance of breaking upwards on this attempt. I'd say it's come down to around 30 now. I think it's decreasing every day. Every day we see the stagnation, it's decreasing. Would I be surprised if we see a break to the upside? Not at all, not in the slightest. And I'm not necessarily predicting that we won't. I'm just saying if we do, it's going to be very unlikely that we'll actually break above 53k, which is our critical bull market breaker. Don't get me wrong. I'd love for us to break above 53k, and this is why I say I'm unbiased in the market, right? I don't have a bias, because I'm not in the market right now, and if we break above 53k, not only would I make more money in the next year, but my channel would also grow exponentially more. And so I'm betting against what is better for me, right? By saying it's going to go down, I'm giving you the most unbiased position possible, because if we go up, I will profit in every scenario way more than we would if it goes down. And so that's why you can trust me. That's the evidence I'm giving you as to why you can trust that I'm actually telling you the truth. Now, whether I'm correct or not is a different question, right? I very well could be wrong. However, you can trust that I'm telling the truth. And that's kind of what I'm looking at from the market still. There's really not too much to update other than that. I mean, we could look at the weekly close, right? We just had a weekly candle close, and we'll go actually to the Bitcoin index here and see what we're looking at on a longer term scale. And I will say that the weekly close really wasn't too bad, and that's a good sign for the bulls, right? We closed, if you'll notice, and we'll bring up this real quick, just 1 second here. We'll just bring up the 50-week SMA so we can get a good idea of what's going on here. We closed just below the 50-week SMA again, which is bearish as usual, as expected. However, we actually managed to close above the the Ichimoku cloud. Usually when you see closes within the cloud, you end up below the cloud within a couple of weeks. We haven't seen that yet. I wouldn't count that as a close within the cloud. We've bounced off the cloud. It's holding a support. Usually when you see a bounce off the cloud, you see a bit of a sustained rally for a period of time at least. And it doesn't mean we need to go new all-time highs. It just means that it will act as support for a little bit, most likely. And so that is another piece of supporting evidence that we will see a bounce on Bitcoin from this descending wedge. And this goes back to what I was saying. Even though the immediate technical analysis doesn't look favorable for Bitcoin in terms of that wedge, there are pieces of evidence that would very clearly say, hey, we're going to break out to the upside. It's just if we do break out to the upside, I don't see a scenario rarely in which we break up to new all-time highs. If we break 53k and I'm wrong, I'd be happy to admit that. And I'd also be happy to buy back into the market at 53k because I sold at 66k to 63k. So I'm buying back in 10k cheaper than I actually sold, even if I'm dead wrong, right? And that's the benefits of being cautious. That's the benefits of not believing every rally you see. People would say that, oh, you were wrong about your prediction for 2021, right? I said we're going to go to 113k by January the 6th. Right? I've got no hiding to do there. But what I would say to that as a counter is, yes, I was wrong about that, but I admitted I was wrong only 3 to 6k below the all-time high. So I admitted I was wrong only 10% below the all-time high. So ultimately it didn't matter, right? Because I still adjusted. That's what it's all about. It's all about adapting to the situation. And so if we do break above 53k, I'll be happy to adapt again because I know that my adaptation will still be profitable, right? I would have been wrong technically, right? But I still would profit from, my estimation that it's going to go down. I still would profit from that because I sold way higher than I would buy back in. And so, do I hope we go to 53k? Of course I do. I don't think anyone wants to see a bear market. I don't want to see a bear market. I don't want to go down to the 200-week SMA as I'm expecting. I really hope that does not happen, and I'm praying every day that does not happen because I'll make a lot more money and I'll gain a lot more subscribers if it doesn't happen. However, I'm not going to lie to you. That's what I'm seeing on the charts at the moment. I'm seeing currently on the charts either a drop down or a dead cat bounce up to a maximum of 53k and then a drop down, and we're going to be reaching that point by November 2022 in my personal opinion. I hope we can break over 53k. I hope I'm wrong. That's all I got to say, guys. Not really much to bring up here on Bitcoin. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.